Hey, what's up, everybody? Jimmy Smith with my pre-fight breakdown, the preview of UFC Fight Night, Tyron Woodley versus Gilbert Burns. The main card might change by the time the actual fight rolls around. It's Tuesday right now, and the Daniel Rodriguez fight is off right now. His opponent dropping out with an injury late. I don't know if they'll come up with a new opponent for him or if they'll just scrap that card and put somebody else in the main event. So I don't know. In the main card. So I don't know if it changes by the time Saturday rolls around. I'll just start at the bottom of the card with what we have now, and that's Hannah Cifers versus Mackenzie Dern. Look, Mackenzie Dern has world-class jiu-jitsu. Period. End of sentence. That's in jiu-jitsu and submission grappling, let alone in mixed martial arts. So in her last fight, the problem she had is she couldn't make it a jiu-jitsu game at all against Amanda Ribas. She just got out kickboxed the entire time. Diving takedowns, wasn't able to get the fight to the ground, guard wasn't effective, and she got beat up for 3 rounds and lost the decision. First loss of her career. I don't see Hannah Cifers having the ability to do that. Not only was it great kickboxing, it was also really high fight IQ. Great angling, great timing, wasn't overly aggressive, really picked her shots, and just fought a really smart fight that negated the strengths of Mackenzie Dern. That takes a lot. Takes great kickboxing, takes great angling and footwork, and also takes the IQ to not get caught up in the kind of brawl that allows a jiu-jitsu fighter who doesn't necessarily have a great takedown to get their fight on the ground. Hannah Cifers, good fighter, 10-4, but coming off a loss by TKO to Angela Hill. Angela Hill on a great streak. There's no shame in that loss, but I just don't see her having the tools at 2-2 in the UFC to overcome some of the best jiu-jitsu in MMA. So that's going to be the deal. I don't see Hannah Cifers being able to stop the takedown of Mackenzie Dern and make it the kickboxing match that Ribas made. And so I see her getting submitted. That's probably how she loses this fight, but I got to go with Mackenzie Dern in the opener. She goes to 8-1. Once again, probably by submission. So we move up the card. And what do we have here? The next one up is Roosevelt Roberts versus Brock Weaver. Brock Weaver, his last fight isn't up on Fight Pass right now. For some reason, it could be, I don't know, some COVID delays or something, but they don't have his last fight up. So his fight in the Contender Series is the one I have to go on. And what I learned there in that fight against Devin Smith is Smith got takedowns early. Got a lot of them early. Couldn't really hold Weaver down. Weaver just stayed persistent. He stayed consistent, and he wore Smith down the later rounds, right? The issue with that is Smith didn't have great jiu-jitsu. So Smith took him down, but wasn't a real threat once he was on top, didn't try for anything big, didn't try for a lot of submissions, any great ground and pound. And Weaver just stayed tough, got back to his feet, and as the fight wore on, Smith had set a pace he couldn't keep, and Weaver didn't. So Weaver kept the pressure on, and Smith started wearing down. Basic kickboxing, basic physical pressure, stocky, strong, and was able to wear Smith down. That's how he won. The problem with Roosevelt Roberts is twofold. Number one, he has a great submission game. So if he gets you down, he's able to get the early takedowns the way Smith did. I think he takes advantage a lot better than Smith did. He won't just take him down. He'll advance position and look for a submission. He's much more dangerous in that position than Smith was. Also, Roosevelt Roberts, 4 fights in the UFC, 3 of them have gone to decision. That's impressive to me. Now, of course, he lost to Vince Pichel, who was the grizzled veteran who had taken on good names, and Roosevelt Roberts wasn't able to use his techniques as effectively. But I like the fact that 2 of his other wins were by decision. What does that mean? A lot of fighters run into trouble when they're great finishers and they get to the UFC level, the Bellator level, and guys aren't blown away by the flash. They're not easily submitted. It's hard to get guys out of there. And fighters get frustrated. They don't have the gas, they don't have the patience, they don't have the IQ to win long, difficult, grueling fights. I like the fact that out of 4 UFC fights, 3 have gone to decision. It shows that he can win a long fight. He won 2 of them. He can win a long fight. He's not going to do what Smith did, which is set a pace of takedown, 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 and then round 2, you're sucking wind and don't have any energy. I don't see Roberts doing that. So I see him getting the takedown early, making more of it, and even if Brock Weaver is able to resist the submission attempts, get back to his feet, he's not going to wear down the way Smith did. And I think either the takedowns bank him the early rounds or he gets a submission. So I got to go with Roosevelt Roberts over Brock Weaver, probably by submission, but it wouldn't surprise me if this one went to decision as well. So I like the talent of Roosevelt Roberts combined with kind of the grit and IQ he's shown in decisions. Blagoy Ivanov versus Augusto Sakai. These are guys I know well. I called a lot of their fights, both of them in Bellator, both of them Bellator fighters. And then I called a couple of their fights in the UFC as well. You've heard me say a million times that when it comes to heavyweights, I look for something that makes a big fighter who hits hard different or special. What's that little elite thing that makes me think you can maybe be a contender? When it comes to Augusto Sakai, not only 14-1-1's got a great record, big dude, cuts down to 265 and really light on his feet. When you watch this guy fight, he angles a lot, great footwork, great leg kick, good speed, good accuracy. He doesn't move like a guy who has to cut down to make heavyweight. He fights like a much lighter guy. Really good movement. Blagoy Ivanov is another guy who tends to fight a little bit lighter than he looks, but a bit more standard in the way he attacks. I mean, heavy punches, pretty good angles, but not a lot of kicks, not a lot of diversity, not super duper accurate. A better ground game than Augusto Sakai. But I don't know if he's going to be able to get it to the ground against a big heavyweight who moves a lot. So the issue to me is, can Blagoy Ivanov get his game going before Augusto Sakai moves and picks him apart and wins rounds that way? Obviously, coming off loss to Derek Lewis, he also lost to Junior Dos Santos. Blagoy Ivanov, no shame in those losses. Both excellent heavyweights. Augusto Sakai hasn't faced the level of talent yet of Blagoy Ivanov, but I think he has the physical gifts to kind of keep a heavy-hitting heavyweight at bay, which is essentially Blagoy Ivanov steps in with good punches and tries to get the fight to the ground. I think Augusto is going to have the physical tools to stay out of that kind of game. Moves well, angles well. I think Blagoy Ivanov can spend a little too much time chasing him, and that's going to be an issue. I go with Augusto Sakai, probably by decision, simply because Blagoy Ivanov is very tough to finish. But Augusto Sakai has the accuracy, and he has the weapons, and he has the physical tools to get something done in this fight. I think he steps up with a win over Blagoy Ivanov. Tyron Woodley, Gilbert Burns in the main event. A lot of fans, and I see where you guys are coming from, have called this a lose-lose for Tyron Woodley. That's understandable. Gilbert Burns is incredibly dangerous. He's a jiu-jitsu world champion. He's shown better and better boxing. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He has a lot of confidence, moving up to 170 pounds, but not a ton of name value. This is not a pay-per-view. It's not a fight that's going to make Tyron Woodley a ton of money, and yet he's fighting a dangerous guy who's right now number 6 in the UFC rankings, and a loss really knocks him out of contention when you have such big names like the champ Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington making a bunch of noise. Jorge Masvidal is very much in the mix. Even Conor McGregor's in the mix at 170. You got to work hard to stay at the top, and a loss to Gilbert Burns is devastating right now to his career. Now, can Tyron Woodley win? Yes. He's more powerful, he's fought better talent, and has superior wrestling. The question I have is he mentally and physically the same guy he was when he was champ? That's the question. Now, I'm going to read off his record since, let's say, July 30th, 2011. Paul Daly, Jordan Mean, Nate Marquardt, Jay Haran, Jake Shields, Josh Koscheck, Carlos Condit, Rory McDonald, Dunghyun Kim, Kelvin Gaslam, Robbie Lawler, Stephen Thompson twice, Damian Maia, Darren Till, Kamaru Usman. That's just a murderous schedule. He is 38 years old. He's got a lot of out-of-octagon distractions with his music career and acting and all that stuff. He looked really flat against Kamaru Usman. He just didn't look sharp, didn't look like he wanted to be in there. Maybe he didn't take Kamaru Usman that seriously. I don't know what it was, but he looked like a spent force against Kamaru Usman. I think the Tyron Woodley that defended his title twice against Stephen Thompson, Damian Maia, Darren Till, that guy beats Gilbert Burns. The question is Tyron Woodley still that guy? That's the question. The names I just read off, and he's got some names before that are no cakewalk. You can't go through that many fights over that many years against that kind of opposition and not have it take something out of you. So to me, is his mental focus there and his physical ability, his explosive. The guy's always been a freak physically. Does he have everything right now against a guy who might not have all that experience and all those gifts, but is right now his confidence is sky high, who really believes this is a fight that's going to put him over. I believe Gilbert Burns believes this fight is destiny. This fight is going to make me a contender. I'm raring to go. If Tyron Woodley comes in with that kind of enthusiasm and that kind of desire, and he's super sharp. He can win this fight. I'm just betting that he doesn't. I think at 38 years old, with all the fights he's been through, I think the years are catching up to him. And that he's no spring chicken, and I think this is Gilbert Burns' opportunity to make his name off of Tyron Woodley's name. I don't know if Woodley's still going to have those physical gifts. I think he still has a lot of out-of-octagon distractions, and they catch up with him against Gilbert Burns. So that's my pick, is Gilbert Burns. I don't know the method, maybe by decision, or might clip him early, I don't know. But I'm going with Gilbert Burns in the main event. A little bit of an upset. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think, and thanks for watching.